Corporate governance in Nigeria is built on the core principles of ensuring that those in management of the companies are more accountable, responsible, and sensitive to the interests of stakeholders and shareholders, and the interests of creditors and members of the public. However, irregular policies, insecurity are capable of sending wrong signals to investors who ride on the stability of its host economy to run a hitch-free business. Well, now, what effect do corporate governance and, of course, ease of doing business index have on Nigeria's economy, especially at a time when the World Bank ease of doing business index is facing data irregularities accusations? Should investors still rely on such indexes to determine their investment destination? Well, as usual, I don't do this alone. I'm being joined by the Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's Dr. Chinyere Almona. This is the first time on the show. Thank you very much and good afternoon to you. It's good to see you, ma.
Good afternoon and thanks for having me.
Okay, let me do a little bit of background. The World Bank Group, in its most recent twist of events, says it has discontinued the publishing of its Doing Business report after 18 years. Now, the Doing Business Index measures regulations directly affecting the ease of doing business across the country. Now, let me ask the question this way. What do you make of Nigeria's ranking index up till now? Are we where we're supposed to be, or what can we do to get better?
So thanks, like I said, thanks for having me. So if you think about the ease of doing business report and all the challenges it's facing currently, it's sad. It saddens me personally that the ease of doing business report is facing such integrity challenge at this point in time. But in terms of its principles, so it's kind of set on the right principles because it gives you some indicators that you can check and have comparability across countries, and then helps countries to begin to improve on certain indicators because these indicators influence the way businesses are done in the countries. So for us in Nigeria in 2020, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council came up with some localized indicators as to what was kind of the standards in the report. And these are all supposed to help us guard against the problems that businesses face. So if businesses are going to face problems with, let's say, starting a business or employing workers or getting permits, then the likelihood of them thriving in that business will be difficult. So these indicators are helpful, and I think even if the ease of doing business report is scrapped, I believe that for us in Nigeria, we should continue to look at those indicators and see how we can improve. And the PEBEC is a good place to continue to watch our improvement. In the last couple of years, we have improved, kind of moved up on the ranking, and I think we should continue in that trajectory. We shouldn't abandon the work that we have done. It has helped us. So the report itself and the process that brought about the report is facing some challenges, but I think the indicators are good indicators to help us manage our economy.
A very good way to start, Dr. Almona. But let's look at our tax systems and incentives for growth and infrastructure development drive. More is expected on the part of the business community from small-size enterprises to large corporates. What do you think, like looking at what's happening with the latest tax tussle between states and the FRS?
Well, the tax tussle between states and FRS, that's still in court, so I can't comment on that.
Yeah, no problem.
But I think suffice it to say that in countries where taxes are utilized for the right purposes, there's benefit in paying tax. The challenge we've had is that there needs to be a system where taxpayers can see that their taxes are being used for certain projects or infrastructural developments that would encourage business, that will enhance the way businesses are done. And once that happens, it's kind of blooms the economy. Also, some of the things that we have said over the years at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce is that there needs to be, we need to deploy technology in such a way that we can reduce human intervention and, be able to get the tax in and apply it to certain specific projects. So, and then now this, for me, the issue of the discussions going on may just be confusing businesses because they're thinking, okay, so who should I pay the tax to at what time? Is the deadline still valid and all that? I think the government needs to clear that up as quickly as possible. So this case at the court, I think it needs to be cleared up quickly to enable businesses continue to be able to plan and do business without concerns and worries.
Before I move to my next question, I was just thinking, you are the chambers and a lot of businesses are groaning, particularly at this time, a lot of issues, fallback of COVID-19 and other complications, just like tax, which we said could be more simplified. What do you think, what's your assessment or what feelers are you getting from the business community at the moment? We are moving towards the end of the year where there should be a lot of production. How well are we seeing that happen?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
So there are so many things plaguing the business community at the moment. You have power. We are struggling with power. Without power, it's difficult to do business and be productive in business. We have security. Some businesses now have shrunk their working time because they can't work at certain times because of the security conditions in this country. And then you have the challenges with custom. We've been talking about custom reforms forever. So some of these problems affect the ability to produce. And even when we are able to produce, the cost of production is so high that it is difficult to sell. We've been discussing the AFCFTA program, but the challenge is how comparable or how competitive will our products be outside the shores of this nation if it's so difficult to produce items or it's so expensive to produce items. So those are some of the challenges our members are facing, and we're just looking up to government. We've been kind of engaging government extensively to ensure that some of these issues are dealt with so that businesses can continue.
Well said there. Now the prospects of the AFCFTA, of course, are glaring, but how do you see us increasing capacity to unlock our growth and create jobs by building our industrial capacity and enlarging our productivity, and of course making us more competitive globally on the back of current issues around security, of course, and some that you mentioned, and of course the trading of naira and logistics?
So some of these issues, first of all, we need to be able to deal with those issues. The other thing is a lot of awareness creation. We need to create awareness. We need to educate the populace. A lot of times people have conversations about AFCFTA, and when nobody is quite certain, how to derive value or get benefit from the system. Also, ECOWAS is kind of been processing some of the protocols and guidelines and standards that will help businesses in this regard. So once we clear those areas and we are able to deal with our power, security, forex issues, then we can present our products and services at a level that is comparable with others. We also, when we deal with all of these issues that we are working on, it also affects the quality that we produce at the end of the day. So once we are able to deal with quality, deal with price, then we can be competitive in the African markets.
We can be. Going back, while you were answering that, I went back again to remember that corporate governance really has a lot to do. That's good corporate governance if you really intend to achieve a profitable business, succession plans, and all of this. But in Nigeria today, you've been in this segment for some time. How well do you see businesses taking advantage of this in your assessment? And if we are not doing as well as we should, can we get better?
We can definitely get better. And I like the way you describe corporate governance, almost as if you're a corporate governance professional yourself. So corporate governance really is a system by which companies are directed and controlled. And the fact that businesses operate uniquely under the separation of ownership and control. And this works beautifully when those in control, so management, they operate the business with the mind that they have to deliver value to the owners. And owners are not necessarily just the shareholders, but others who have stake in the business, so the other stakeholders. Once this happens, the business is set to thrive. And if you have the right corporate governance practices in your business, then you are sure of that the business will be resilient. Storms will come in any business, in any economy, but your business will be resilient. Your business will be robust. Your business will be strong. And are we where we are supposed to be? Definitely not. And we can't get better. There's so much room to get better. Sometimes when companies face problems and economic challenges like we have in the last 18 months with COVID, they begin to shake and wonder, are we doing the right things? But I always say to companies, if you have the right corporate governance practices in place, then you don't have to worry too much, because whatever happens, you'll be able to bounce back. I like a particular quote by a one-time, chairman of this SEC in the US, which talks about investments. If we have the right corporate governance practices in place, we can attract investments, because every business I see, every small business, big business I talk to, they're thinking of access to finance. Access to finance won't happen if we don't have the right corporate governance practices in place. And this chair of SEC I talked about, he says, if a country does not have a reputation for strong corporate governance, capital will flow somewhere else. And if investors are not confident with the level of disclosure, capital will flow somewhere else. If a country opts for very lax accounting and reporting standards, capital will flow elsewhere. So you think about it. When this happens, even if one particular company is doing well, trying very hard with corporate governance, if you don't have a level playing field and the country isn't encouraging good corporate governance, capital will flow elsewhere. And if there is no capital flowing in our direction, we can't improve, we can't strengthen our economy, we can't grow.
Let's now look at adopting cost-cutting measures. Lately, we've seen businesses incurring high operational costs. What are the feelers you've also been hearing with regards to this since your assumption into office?
Everyone needs to, there are two things in business. You have revenue and you have your cost. And if your cost is more than your revenue, of course, you're making a loss. And you can't make a loss for a very long time. You'll be out of business. So every business is in place to make a profit. You have to add value to your shareholders by giving them dividend, or add value to your other stakeholders. You have to be able to pay your employees well. You have to be able to pay your taxes. You have to be able to pay the regulators and all that. So you have to make profit. Now, if businesses find out that the revenue isn't increasing because of all the challenges, customers aren't buying, inflation is double digit currently, so the buying power is low, then they have to do something about the cost. Unfortunately, with inflation being so high, that means the cost of production items are also high. So we have to be a bit more efficient with the use of everything. We have to be efficient. We have to prioritize. We have to determine what to let go and what to keep. We need to keep the things that are specific to helping us increase our revenue.
Now, almost finally, because I'm just looking at, based on the economic recovery being charted, we've heard a lot of figures, and I know the LCCI plays an important role when it comes to economic issues. Do you see Nigeria growing? 3% GDP is the growth forecast. Do you see us meeting that target? And what more do you think can be done, particularly maybe on the monetary side and the fiscal side, for us to grow steadily and inclusively?
So a 3% growth projection isn't so exciting for me. What I want is a reduction in inflation. So if we talk about growth, and inflation isn't dropping, everybody is struggling. So let's try and get our inflation rate down to below to double digit, let's say single digits. Then we can begin to we can survive, not just survive, we can actually thrive, because businesses will do better. And then we can see that growth. The 3% growth, we can supersede that 3% number if we work on all the policies, all the elements that influence our inflation rates.
All right there, Dr. Almona, before I let you go, what will be your message to members at this time? They want to hear from you. The chamber is always there for advocacy and all of that. So we didn't touch about the port issues. I know there are a lot of issues. If we want to go on and on, 1 hour wouldn't even be enough for us. But what message do you have for them at this time? What more should they be expecting with regards to advocacy from the LCCI?
Well, the LCCI already has an open line of communication with the federal, state, and local governments, and will continue to push their interests and get their concerns heard at the top levels. We want to see change happen, and that change can happen with dialogue. Once we have appropriate dialogue and continuous dialogue, we can then get things to move. The other thing they should actually expect is inclusiveness. So we want to be able to make changes that will benefit our members, but we want to also do it with them. So partnering with them even closely will help us to ensure that the benefits that we put in place is what they want.
We'll keep this communication channel also opened. Anytime you have anything to say, we have questions for you. We're bringing you up to speak to you. Dr. Chinyere Almona, that's the DG, Director General, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with us. We really appreciate this.
Thank you very much for having me.